Hi everyone,
Hey, welcome.
I'm Antony Chatham,
I'm Andy Roman.
and we are both psychotherapists here at Hippocrates Health Institute.
And so the task that we've been given today is to give some tips on how to get into a better mindset, like right now. Okay, take it, Anthony.
Okay, I was thinking, we will follow the Hippocrates style because when a guest comes to Hippocrates Institute, either they are here to improve their health or they are here to heal from a particular health challenge. In both cases, what we believe is going to help them is if we help them to detox. So, whatever is not conducive to health, you let go. Then we nourish them. That is where we have, the food and numerous other treatments here. So, I think for even mental health, we think of a similar policy. That means we help people to let go of the negativity and then nourish them with positive things. So even when we think about the positive, that's where we are going to go, I believe.
And I want to say something about empowerment. I think empowerment is a great mindset to be in. And I know when people come here to do the program, in the beginning, they relate to it as rules that they have to follow, like some external program to obey or to follow. And when somebody has a mindset like that, they're not likely to stick with whatever it is. It's when they make it their own. And empowerment is something that feels so good. The word power is in it because it's a powerful place to be. The moment that the guests make this program their own and they realize I'm doing something healthy for myself, I'm doing something good for myself, I'm taking care of myself, then they're more likely to follow through. And just in general, empowerment. How do I tap into empowerment? Why don't you say it? How do you tap into empowerment personally?
Okay, personally, first of all, focusing our attention on things that are good and that are working for us. Because even though we know if we try to get rid of what is negative and then we focus on it, our energy is drawn to the negative. So we try to focus on the positive, and only if there is something that is blocking experience of the positive, we will try to focus on the negative to let go. Now, with regard to the program itself, I believe there is a major difference between the Western medical approach and the holistic medical approach. That is, when you use in the Western medicine, when somebody is diagnosed with an illness, usually there is a tendency for the patient, who is the victim of illness, to ask the doctor, now that you gave me this is my problem, tell me what to do, which is the opposite of empowerment. This is where I think a holistic approach is where there are many possibilities for you to improve. You take care of yourself what is needed to be done.
I've just been reflecting here is like, how do I get in touch with empowerment? And I start my day by meditating. I really make it a point to spend time with my own self and my own life force, and I kick everything out. Because a big part of empowerment is the recognition that this is my life. I think that's a foundational empowerment place to be. This is my life. It's up to me how my day goes, how my mood is, who I contact, what depth I go to. It's up to me. And if I make some effort in the morning to actually realize it's my life, then my day goes better. And then
Yeah.
I also want to talk about something else that really helps me, and that is an attitude of gratitude. When I'm grateful, I'm much more receptive and appreciative,
Yeah.
and I can see the beauty. And when my focus is like that, my life is going to go great. My day is going to go great. And so, that's easy to say when things are tough, when times of trouble or whatever. How am I going to stay in touch with gratitude? And that is a challenge sometimes. Like when somebody has a diagnosis and they come here, it's like, why me? And all that. How is somebody supposed to be grateful? But still, gratitude is available. We can't let our diagnoses or anything, our circumstances, rob us of our personhood. Our job is really to help people stay in an empowered, grateful state.
It is true. Now, also, in addition to what you were saying about the empowerment, very often it is our mindset that is causing it, because if we focus on what else is wrong with me, suppose I have a diagnosis, there is a tendency to think, see, I'm the unfortunate one. What else is wrong with me? So we are going into the negative side and the deficit side. But we have to always go with the side where we are always focusing on what can I do better in spite of all the challenges. What am I able to do? So in the morning, like you mentioned, when I wake up, I usually think of something to be grateful for. But usually I start with, well, thank God today I feel so good. And I can, I'm also looking forward to work, which is interesting because that is where we meet people who are also nourishing us in a different way.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like you mentioned, our job is to nourish the people, but it's also nourishing us. So,
You're blowing our cover because we receive a lot from doing what we do. Helping other people is a good way to get into a good mindset. Being of service is so empowering and so satisfying. That's what you're talking about here.
It is. It is. And so when we are in the helping profession in general, it is a way of, living the life rather than just teaching how to live.
Big time. All right, listen, we've gotten some questions hot off the press.
Okay.
What are some suggestions for overcoming anxiety? The first thing that occurs to me is physical exercise, because anxiety often comes with physical symptoms like a rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, sweating, and this and that. Those are also the side effects of good exercise. So one way to override the anxiety response is to tap into something else that triggers the same physical response. Exercise is a really practical thing to do. Even while you're in the midst of a panic attack, just start doing some jumping jacks, because then you're in charge of your increased heart rate. It's not some anxious state that's making you have that.
Yeah, with regard to anxiety, obviously, what is anxiety? It is anticipated fear. And I'm thinking of what is opposite of fear? It is love. So if we can find something that we can love, often we are able to overcome anxiety to a large extent. This is why personally experiencing love and also loving to do something that you like also can be a way to overcome anxiety. So overcoming fear is the key to get hold of that part.
And there's another level of anxiety where I call it proper anxiety. When somebody is not living life authentically and they have anxiety about that, there's something proper about that. We're supposed to not feel right when we're not living our life right. And so some anxiety actually carries what I would call an existential message to get right with our purpose, to get true, to be more authentic with our expression. to be congruent with our feeling life. What you feel is what you express. What you want is what you pursue. What you don't want is what you say no to. Because when we don't obey those, we're properly anxious. And so look into your own heart and see if your anxiety is related to.
Good point. That is, anxiety is an opportunity in a sense, because it invites us to maybe to reshuffle the way we do things. And usually when we speak about stress, often they say some level of stress is good for life because it helps us to be on our toes to do things right. For example, when a student is going to write a test, there is some level of anxiety. And they say it is good because it helps us to be focused on the test material. So that's how I also hear what you are suggesting in terms of looking at anxiety, not as a real big problem, but as an opportunity.
Because if we're looking for stress,
It's true.
It's not what happens to you that causes stress. It's how you respond to it that is really responsible for the stress response. The good news is we have some say into how we respond to things. And that's the whole empowerment thing that we were talking about earlier. That stress circumstantial is not in and of itself, it doesn't have to be the dominating force in our lives. It is being in charge. I'm responsible for my responses.
Also, in addition to add to what you were saying, some people have that sense of entitlement. That is, life is supposed to have these things. I'm supposed to have such and such luxuries, or I'm supposed to be responded like this. If we can learn to really let go of those entitlement type of thinking, and then, like you mentioned, if we can get into more a sense of gratitude for whatever we have, we will not be that anxious either.
Good point.
Because the anxiety is caused by this is what I'm supposed to get, but I'm not getting it.
Entitlement is like the opposite of gratitude.
It is.
Yeah. Yes. I almost want to start cursing here, but I'm not going to. All right, here's another. Before we go on, I want to do a shout out to my friend Charlotte in the UK, and also to my daughter Kaya. I love you.
Woo!
My children are also listening to it. Josh, hi. Ashley, hi. Ashley and Mikhail, and Aurelia, and of course, Lizzie, hi to you.
Yeah, because we're professionals, but we can do whatever we want on this little broadcast. All right, here's our next question. How can I overcome repetitive patterns that are negative, but I always fall back into them? How can I overcome repetitive negative patterns?
In fact, when I work with individuals, usually in the first full session, I usually record a session for them in which their strengths are highlighted. And also the key people who can give them love are also brought in terms of a visual imagery. So usually what I say is, when I mention this person in your life, give a smile to that person and also see that that person is smiling back. Of course, through an imagery, we are creating a positive environment. Same way, we can only build upon our strengths. So if we can find always something that is working good for us, then there is less tendency to fall back into the negative. So it is constantly trying to give positive things to ourselves, but also another practical thing will be to give compliments to other people. When you see something positive in others, acknowledge it and compliment them, because when you are able to compliment somebody, it means you are also feeling positive.
Good job,
Okay.
Antony.
Thank you. And you feel so good.
And one
And
thing I
good, Lindsay.
good job, Lindsay. One thing I want to say about breaking negative patterns, it's really important to interrupt patterns. And that means doing something new to interrupt. You know, somebody was, they were saying, I'm just so unconscious in my eating. I'll grab whatever's around. And I say, you just need a few moments before you put anything in your mouth. And for some reason, to them, I recommended, before you eat, get down on the floor. And she said, what are you talking about? I said, just get down on the floor. And she said, do you mean get on my knees? I said, yeah, that's a good idea. Get on your knees. And before you eat, get into some kind of a prayerful space, because you're clearly unconscious the way you're doing it now. You need to interrupt yourself. And then there's other practical ways to interrupt. You know, you've heard about the rubber band around your wrist. You know, every now and then snap that rubber band. There's nothing like a little shock like that to interrupt patterns of thinking and do something new. You know, I was in a sort of a rut and the other week, and I asked some friends, and one of them said, get up out of bed on the other side of the bed.
Okay.
Start your day by just getting up on the other side of the bed than you're used to. And I thought, oh, but that's the part of the bed that's so neatly made. But I did it, and it really started my day off. It helped reinforce the fact that I'm in charge with little things and big things. And it set me off on a new course. All right, so that's that. All right, here's our final question. I feel as though I can never get ahead based on circumstances that always happen to me. I can't get ahead, and it makes me not want to do anything productive. How can I change? Yeah, I think you're talking about a state of inertia, you know, where there's no forward movement. It takes some guts, and it takes some effort, and it takes a lot of love, and it takes support to get beyond a stuck point like you're describing. And so reach out for help, go to therapy, confide to your friends, you know, do something radical.
Partly how we experience life is the way we look at it. If we really look at it with that positive attitude, that is, I want to find something good in you, then I'm going to find that. And that also nourishes me, like we were mentioning before. So if we can always look around and find that is good, actually our mood changes. The mood is a result of what our mind is focusing on. That is why we say, do not think of a pink elephant. Because the moment, even though I'm telling you do not, you know what you already did. And therefore, if you say, I want to avoid the negative things, and I focus on the negative things, naturally, my result is going to be the mood down. But instead, if we want to elevate it, think of something that can really bring us up positively.
And then how does an artist know what to paint? They're facing a blank canvas. And the secret to that is you just make it up. And so you get to be very creative and be focused on what you want to create. And then my ex-wife is an artist, and she once said something to me that was so helpful. I said, well, okay, you're just making up what you're painting, but what if you make a mistake? And she said, I have a lot of white paint. Meaning, you get the point, that you get to paint over your mistakes and you get to that blank canvas state over and over again.
Yeah, that's a good imagery.
It's a good image.
That's a good image, because we are also acknowledging.
So good job, Andy, right?
Okay, good job, Andy. No, actually, we do this all the time. We do try to give compliment. to each other, now by practice. But the result is we all enjoy doing that. And our colleagues too, where we work. That is one of the reasons I believe when guests come to Hippocrates Institute, they often remark the staff is extremely nice. In general, we hear that over and over. It is because a lot of people are making an effort to find something that is positive and showing the readiness to serve whenever we can.
And it's an infectious thing. It just gets better and better. This is a really cool place to work. We love each other. We collaborate. We're focused on serving the guests. It's just an awesome environment.
It's a joy to come to work.
Yeah. And I thought just in closing, I would do a shameless plug of my book.
Mhm.
Yeah, can you see it?
Nice.
Deep Feeling, Deep Healing, the Heart, Mind, and Soul of Getting Well. There you go.
And people can purchase it online.
And you can purchase it on the Hippocrates website or my website or Amazon. Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Love
Good
you.
job.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Bye.